And we continue at 106 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, I need a moment to explain to the audience how my crazy brain works. Every single time I play the clip of Javier Baccaria saying,
"Scrub it,"
I notice that the cadence is very similar to something. So I just have to do this and get this off my chest because it's stuck in my head. I present Javier Baccaria's Jaws.
"Scrub it. Scrub it, scrub it. Scrub it, scrub it, scrub it, scrub it. Scrub it, 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 scrub it."
Oh, that was big in the 80s.
Scrub it.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is the professor of political science emeritus at California State University at Fullerton, Professor Barbara Stone. Welcome.
And you guys expect me to follow that?
Scrub it.
Oh, dear God. Okay. Hi, John. Hi, Randy.
Happy Friday.
What goes on?
All right. Well, before we get to the California subjects, I want to pick your brain about this because it seems like the Democratic Party of late has had a knack of finding their way to the 20% position on every 80-20 issue in the country, whether it is transgendered athletes in women's sports or defunding the police, you name it, they take the unpopular position. And of late, the big issue is what to do about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who is the illegal alien in Maryland that was deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration. All the Democrats came out and acted like this was the kid that fell in the well, and we need to bring him back to save democracy because the guy is a family man. He loves Jesus. He loves his kids. He loves his wife. He didn't do anything wrong, and it's the case of mistaken identity. Well, a couple days later, we find out that the guy is, in fact, here illegally. The police believe that he is a member of MS-13. His country of origin believes that he's a member of MS-13. The official reason that he gave the immigration judge that he couldn't go home was because he would be targeted by other gangs. Why, you ask? Well, he didn't answer that question. Apparently, he beats the wife up. Apparently, he's not the father to all three kids. He's only the father to one of the three kids. And the actual father to the other two tried to get custody because they said this guy was such a monster, and he was also picked up for suspected human trafficking. Now, there's a Democratic member of Congress by the name of Shiri Thandar, a Democrat of Michigan, who now wants an impeachment vote on Donald Trump for deporting this man to El Salvador. Can you explain to me what the hell they're doing?
They're trying to help, honey, and helping us. I actually, John, while I'm laughing hysterically, because at one level it is, and Donald Trump has always been lucky in his enemies. I actually have spent a little time trying to figure this out because it's just so irrational. Even Gavin can figure out if you're going to go after Trump, go after him on the tariffs, not on this stuff. But, several things happen. One, you're talking about people who mostly live and work and party in Washington. That would be D.C. They're in a bubble. They don't talk to real people. They have no idea what they're like. So they aren't talking to the people. I've done a little survey around, and you'd be surprised just how violent everybody goes. I don't care about that guy. I don't care about this. What are you doing? He shouldn't be here. But they don't know that because they don't talk to real people. So where do they get their opinions? And as far as I can tell, because I've seen Republicans do this in some circumstances, they hear the opinions of their loudest fringe. And their loudest fringes are way, way out there. And so they pick up the issues those people care about. Those people in this case would be those who really do believe in open borders, really do think everybody should come in, and they couldn't care less about any of the stuff you just said is racism. But that's who they hear. And any kind of reasonable thought appears not to cross their minds. Now, I would add one funny caveat here, because you're beginning to read there are some Democrats who are sort of voce going, what are we doing? Are we trying to kill ourselves? Who's complicit in this is the mainstream media, because the mainstream media wants the Democrats to succeed. So if they wanted the Democrats to be rational by what I think are the standards of the country right now, they would be playing up the Democrats who are talking about tariffs. They would be looking at those people. No, they're covering Chris Van Hollen every second. He's on his way to and from El Salvador for this guy. So I think you have people who have no idea what goes on in the mind of anything resembling a normal person. The fringes of their party are what push them, and for reasons I don't understand, except that they're totally incompetent, the mainstream media that wants them is making sure all the rest of us hear about this crazy stuff. John, they're nuts.
For a group that's totally obsessed with race, and they see race in everything, you can't do a story in the newspaper about farm futures without them finding some kind of racial angle to the story. For people who are so obsessed with it, it's really a tell. You have issues that pop up now and then, like this one, or voter ID, where they really tip their hand and show you what low opinion they have of minorities. I mean, the argument essentially against showing your identification to vote was, well, minorities can't figure out how to get a driver's license. And you say to yourself, okay, well, how dumb do you think they are? If you think they can't figure out how to get a driver's license in 2025 America, what is your opinion of them? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, former neighbor, very sweet lady, very partisan Democrat, about this case, about the deportation. And this was before we learned about the wife beating and the human trafficking and the not being the actual father of the kids and all of that. And we did know at that point in time, though, that it was suspected that he was a member of MS-13. And her response to that was, well, that in and of itself, being a member of a gang, shouldn't be a cause for deportation, because that's just what they do. They come from these countries where you have to be a member of a gang to get by. And so if you're a member of a gang, that's just what you have to do to survive. And if we say no gang members, then we won't import anyone from those countries. And I thought to myself, listen to what you're saying. That's just what they do?
John, that leaves me almost speechless. You're kidding.
No.
And of course, then the answer back is fine. Then let's not import anybody from those countries. How's that? Oh well. They more or less believe it. And of course, going beyond just this, I honestly believe that it matters that the South, were all Democrats, and the South wanted to keep the slaves, and that many of them actually believed, and their descendants do till this day, that you had benevolent, patriarchal, we'll take care of those poor, dumb people who don't know what they're doing, and they're just replacing the government with the plantation owner. I don't think the attitude's changed, but that's an unkind interpretation, but I'll stand by it.
Well, it's an unbelievably disrespectful way to look at your fellow human beings, and I don't think that they regard themselves as being disrespectful, but really that's what they are.
Of course they are. And if you ever push them, they don't hear the question because it's not something they can actually deal with. Oh, well, let's put it this way. Having picked out this guy and this point in time and this issue, I mean, it's almost like they want Donald Trump to he can't be reelected, but you get the general idea. Because I have ad right now. You just take the picture of the border where they were sitting there waiting and coming across when Biden was president. That would be a Democrat. You have the way it looks now that Trump's president, and all you say, we're going to have a presidential election, presidents affect this, which one do you want? And the Democrats won't even pretend to want any of the things that produce the closed border. So, as I say, I think they're dumb, but thank you for the help, guys.
Nate Silver, who is a man that looks at polls and crunches polls and tries to predict what's going to happen in elections, tries to forecast election results, recently said that if the election were today, the Democrat most likely to be the nominee is AOC. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I saw that. Now, the one thing I'll tell you about Nate Silver, and he's going partly with his gut here, and I understand it, but it's amazing how what he'll tell you is going to happen changes based on, of course, the polling. Polling changes, he'll do 180 and just move right on with it. So it's interesting, but as you say, it's at this point in time. You know what I think they think, is that what you've got going in the Democrat sphere is a movement. MAGA, led by Donald Trump, was and is a movement. And looking for the same kind of dynamic, enthusiasm, whatever, on the Democrat side, you have Bernie Sanders at Coachella. And who is there with Bernie as his sidekick? Because even Bernie, I think, knows Bernie's too old. Bernie's sidekick is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the lovely lady who made sure there was no work in her congressional district by killing off the Amazon Center. But, you know, she's attractive. She bounces around. She says stupid things, but with great enthusiasm. So she's the younger face of what I think a lot of these guys see as a movement. And then they look around and go, okay, actually think back when Trump was first running, he polled consistently in the low 20%. I mean, he never had that huge thing, but he had his loyal following who was there, and they went bouncing off. I think people, without being, well, they probably are fairly clear about it, are drawing that parallel that's Bernie and Alexandra to Trump. And then they look around and they go, well, okay, maybe not. Maybe this is too fringy. What else do the Democrats have? And, of course, that they have Gavin. I understand, by the way, why Gavin thinks he might be a real possibility, but we'll see where that goes. We have the governor of Pennsylvania, who anti-Semitism rules the Democrat Party just as much as pro-immigrant. They're not going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. They just want to burn down his governor's mansion. Where else do you go? The governor of Colorado is doing some truly incredible things in the area of laws about trans kids. They're all, you go, what are you guys doing? So you might as well go what looks like the real thing, which is Bernie and AOC bouncing around, acting like they're in the forefront of the new thing. I still do not, well, I guess I do. Bernie Sanders gets up, right? And he's talking to rich people who are relatively young and high as a kite on something at Coachella and going, talk to me about the oligarchy. Okay, what's that? I bet you if you went and asked them all, what's an oligarchy that you're out here cheering against, they would have no idea. But he at least is full of enthusiasm. And I think in the absence of anything else, that's at least part of what's going on. I might be wrong.
You referenced Gavin. There's an Emerson College poll that just came out showing his approval rating in California is now in the low 30s. If your approval rating in your home state, which in this case is a deep blue state, is in the low 30s, I don't know how you parlay that to the nomination.
Well, first of all, what passes for a Democrat hierarchy See, that's one of their problems. They don't really have it. Would have to close behind Gavin, because you act as if everybody knows what a stinky state California is. But I'm not sure that's true, John, or at least the Democrats across the country think, oh, California's awful. Who would want to live there? You can't buy insurance, you can't get gas, you can't do anything useful. But that's what they do. So I'm not sure what are clearly his big liabilities would impact the people who make these decisions. Come on, they went with Kamala without even looking at anybody else. Give me a break.
Last question before you go. They just had an election in Oakland to replace Sheng Tao, who is being charged with federal crimes by the Department of Justice. And it's still too close to call. It's going to take him over a month to count the votes in a city where no one voted. But that's a different story for a different day. You look at where Barbara Lee, who's essentially running on Sheng Tao's platform, did well, and where Lauren Taylor, her opponent, who is trying to move the city to the right, did well. And essentially, Barbara Lee won in all of the flatlands where crime is the highest. Why in the world, if you live in an area that's been totally destroyed by crime, your city is broke, 911 doesn't work, they doubled down on everything that destroyed that town, and they were the ones that specifically didn't opt for the alternative? Why is it that so many on the left, particularly here in California, are extremely tolerant of bad government?
I have two levels of answers for that, although the first one doesn't explain the obvious discrepancy. Part of it is the city of Oakland, and they are not alone. Look at what L.A. did. But the city of Oakland has a history of voting for their mayor, voting for somebody who is a big name, someone who's already important, somebody who is well known. As I recall, the last member of Congress, straighten me out if I'm incorrect, last member of Congress they made mayor of Oakland was Ron Dellums.
Yep.
Who, of course, ended up absolutely hated by everybody because he gave the store away to the Raiders. But they vote for that. They made Jerry Brown mayor. Barbara Lee actually fits that model. And people who are a bit more educated, a bit more something, might look and go, hey, we have big trouble here. I actually listened to what she says, which says that she's right in line with what was already there. But if I'm a person of the sort who voted for Barbara Lee, I'm not going to know that. All I'm going to know is it's Barbara Lee, and Barbara Lee, I know the name.
Barbara Lee speaks for me.
Yeah, there. You got
all right.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm up against a break
anyhow,
here.
You got to go, but that's at least part of it. Plus, I'll bet the Democrat hierarchy got the vote out for her in those precincts.
I think you're probably right. Professor Barbara Stone, thanks so much for stopping by. Have a great weekend.
Okay, John. Bye-bye.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, the first edition takes us to the South Bay.
In Hermosa Beach, a jackass thought it would be a great idea to start live streaming on Instagram him hurling insults at random people. Didn't go too well for him.
I would imagine that he got some pushback.
For more, here is Fox 11.
A man who has been posting videos to Instagram tormenting people across the South Bay has now been taken to the hospital.
You know, there are easier ways to go viral. Well, I don't know if there are easier ways to go viral. There are better ways to go viral.
I think that's safe to say.
I've been taken to the hospital. The videos have left some women feeling scared to go to the beach.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf is reporting for us tonight from Hermosa Beach, where these incidents have been taking place. Matthew.
Yeah, a lot of people frustrated with these videos. This guy refers to his post as dark comedy, but no one out here.
Nope. It's not comedy.
This is what people do. When they're being obnoxious or they're being aggressive and people take it, they just keep going. When people push back on them, they say it was only a joke.
But no one out here is laughing.
It will chain you all up and put you in jail.
Yeah, that's not comedy.
No, that's pretty aggressive.
That's just a crazy guy live streaming him saying threatening things on the pier.
The disturbing videos posted by a man to social media causing goosebumps across LA's South Bay.
You call the police?
Just seems kind of weird, kind of creepy.
Don't trip.
We're blurring this man's face because he's now hospitalized for a mental health check.
That's not a thing.
You don't say.
I got a sewer. I got to chain him up and put him in jail.
Okay, this guy's just nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty much what all of us have to go through every time we go to the gas station.
But for days, he's recorded himself on Instagram harassing women.
There's a fine.
So he's not so crazy that he can still figure out how to operate an Instagram live stream, but he's crazy.
Yeah, crazy people can't figure out how to upload things to the internet. I can't figure out how to upload things to the internet.
There's a fine hyena right there trying to get your horns and your business.
Bothering business owners.
Stop getting your kids near me and stop trying to flare me up.
Stop trying to flare me up?
I don't even know what that means.
I don't think he did either.
Sometimes taunting people close to a breaking point.
Let's turn this again. Start running. Don't worry. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get arrested.
Everyone's sick of this. And you want to be funny on Instagram? Cool. But saying sexual things to women, that's lame, dude. We don't want that in our community.
That's such a South Bay response. That's lame, dude.
That's lame, dude. We don't want that in our community.
Brian Smith saw the man Wednesday at the Hermosa Pier.
It was a bunch of kids were involved that he was messing with that were like 14, 15-year-olds on their electric bikes.
For a ticket?
The man was doing an Instagram live when it abruptly stopped.
What happened?
My guess is he pissed those teenagers off and they got on those bikes and decided to get revenge.
Probably because his phone is in that ocean right there.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Well, imagine you get real nasty to someone who won't put up with it. They're going to take that phone out of your hand and they're going to throw it halfway to Catalina.
That's what happened.
So someone threw his phone in the ocean.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said that's
Did he do it?
It sounds like it.
That's probably where it is. So if he wants to find it, he might want to contact Aquaman.
Oh, this guy's great.
Probably because his phone is in that ocean right there.
Yeah, Hermosa Beach and the beach cities in the South Bay of Los Angeles County, they don't put up with this crap.
No, and I'll tell you, I don't know what the deal is, but it doesn't matter if you're in Hermosa Beach or Manhattan Beach or Redondo Beach, El Segundo. I'm 6'4". Everyone down there is taller than me. I don't know how they breed the giants in the South Bay, but if you're watching a volleyball game or you're just walking on the Strand there, everyone there is a giant.
Probably because his phone is in that ocean right there.
So someone threw his phone in the ocean.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said that's probably where it is. So if he wants to find it, he might want to contact Aquaman.
I love it.
My guess is if that phone's not under warranty, he's not going to have a phone to record himself harassing people with.
If you're a victim, let us know. We will do everything we can within the scope of the law.
Police so far only able to issue small citations.
That's why the residents threw his phone into the ocean.
Yep, sounds like they took care of the problem.
It's disgusting what he's doing, and we're not okay with it. But we have to uphold the law. We don't have the ability to just remove somebody because they're doing something that's offensive but not illegal.
Having someone videotape you and take videos and say not horrible things is just completely unacceptable.
Workers and residents glad the man is getting help.
Assault! Assault! Assault!
Whoa!
See, this is what people do. This is, I think, indicative of what happens to people like this. They want to get loud. They want to get obnoxious. They want to get aggressive. They want to get in your face. And then the moment that someone decides that they're not going to put up with it, they play the victim.
Assault! Assault! Assault!
But also realize these Instagram antics could be back any day.
This isn't like a guy joking around having fun. This is a guy making sexual overtones and saying terrible things to women. And I'm not going to stand for it in the city I live in. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to imagine the dads of those teenagers, if he comes back and he starts filming, they'll be back with a Louisville Slugger.
And I think that guy definitely was the one that threw the phone in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
So police say this man is getting checked out at the hospital, but could be released in as soon as 48 hours. A lot of people just frustrated with this entire situation. Reporting live tonight, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Matthew, a couple questions. First off, any word from Aquaman?
All right, that's pretty good, Alex. That's pretty good.
No.
Yeah, no Aquaman appearances today. But great question.
Yeah,
I don't know what's out there.
But and seriously, though, I mean, because we've reported on this before, this idea of like a 5150 hold. If somebody is deemed, not mentally well, they can hold them. But it's for a very limited period of time. Is there really anything law enforcement can do long term in terms of this situation?
Don't you worry. The residents will throw his phone into the ocean again.
Well, I think they're going to end up throwing him in the ocean.
That's the real question. Really, there's not. I mean, if he's not, going against any laws that people can file charges for, essentially, he's just going to be cited, pay a fine and keep doing what he's doing, despite all the people complaining about what he's doing.
So there's the latest out of the jackass at Hermosa Beach that was hurling insults at people, live streaming it on Instagram until he pushed one guy too far that threw his phone into the ocean.
And by the way, if you're going to pick a spot to harass people on, why would it be the pier? Because you do know either you or the phone is going into the water. And maybe both of you. And Randy, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this edition takes us to San Francisco,
where a very well-known sports bar got totally trashed. Let's find out what happened. Here's KTVU, Fox 2.
Francisco, where a popular sports bar, Momo's, is working to repair its restaurant after an intruder tore up the inside. Momo's, of course, is right across the street from Oracle Park, and this setback comes a day before the Giants' home opener. KTVU's Jana Katsuyama joins us live from Momo's with reaction from the owner and San Francisco's mayor. Jana.
They had to send the popo to Momo.
Well, and that area around the ballpark there is a great area for bars and restaurants. It's not like Dodger Stadium or Angel Stadium, where the stadiums are isolated from the rest of the city, the rest of the community. It's right there on the water in the neighborhood, so you can bar hop before the game, after the game, whatever. It's a fun place to be, and I would imagine that having the bar destroyed right before the season starts is not what the owner or the employees wanted to deal with.
That area is also a world apart from across the bay on the Hagenberger.
Hagenberger.
With the
That's
Coliseum.
True.
Well, typically right before opening day, this dining room would be packed with people just trying to soak up that atmosphere. But I want to show you this. That intruder started pulling out wires, ripping up cords, and you can see the mess that was left.
What the hell was this guy doing?
It sounds like a DEA raid.
They are now trying to make repairs and clean up in time to try and open tomorrow. At Momo's restaurant, the bunting and the baseball signs are ready for opening day, but the sign on the door said closed after staff got a shock Thursday morning.
About 7 o'clock this morning, I got a call from my janitorial staff and a couple of my prep cooks.
The owner, Scott Morton, arrived with police.
It's all ripped to shreds.
An intruder had torn through the place overnight.
While they were here, they vandalized our audiovisual rack and our entire lighting system. So we have no phones at the moment, no TVs.
Are they stealing things? What exactly was the point here?
It sounds like they broke in to destroy it just to destroy it.
No music. The lights in our dining room don't work.
Momo's dining room was dark, and debris from electrical wires covered the floor. And then another shock. Morton and police found the intruder still inside.
Oh, no.
Well, if you're going to do that much damage, it's going to take a long time, so maybe it was an all-night project.
We might have to start off a new game on the John Phillips Show. Homeless guy or raccoon?
Morton and police found the intruder still inside.
He was inside the store asleep. This is somebody that's struggling with addiction or mental health issues.
You don't say.
Well, also, if you trash a bar in a restaurant like that, it's going to take a lot out of you. You're going to need some R&R.
We have to get those people the help that they need, not just for them, but also for our small business owners.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie said when he heard about the crime, he came down to talk with Momo's owner.
I will say, Lurie is very responsive to stuff like that because he knows about the image problem that San Francisco has had over the years, and he's doing everything he can to change that.
How many complaint calls do you think this guy has had on him in his lifetime?
And we need to let our small businesses know that we see them, that we hear them. This is a perfect example of why we need to get people into treatment, and we're going to do everything in our power to do that.
See, if that was Karen Bass, she would have talked about the plight of the unhoused person instead of Lurie, who says this guy needs to be in treatment, obviously.
Oh, Karen Bass's response would be the high cost of housing caused this to happen.
Getting power back on in the restaurant is Morton's big challenge.
We're going to rent some lights and then hopefully have a permanent fix in the next, 3 to 4 weeks.
Customers.
See, if this was Los Angeles, the restaurant would have to go through the permitting process to get all the lights fixed after the homeless person tore up everything.
Oh, they would prevent him from being in any kind of state to reopen for months.
We're going to rent some lights and then hopefully have a permanent fix in the next, 3 to 4 weeks.
Customers who came for lunch were sad to hear the news.
This place doesn't deserve that. It's a nice. Everyone's really nice here, and it's a really nice place.
Morton says he's determined to be up and running in less than 24 hours for the Giants' opening day. It's a milestone for Momo's as well.
It's our 25th opening day. We've been here since 1998, and this is our 25th one, and we haven't missed one yet.
And they weren't going to miss that one either.
And they don't have any intention of missing tomorrow. They said that the bar is going to be open at 9:30. This restaurant open at...
Wait, bar's open at 9:30 in the morning?
If you're at a bar at 9:30 in the morning, you may want to go to a meeting.
At 10 o'clock, they say they did detain and identify that intruder, but so far they have not pressed any charges. Reporting live in San Francisco.
How do you not press charges against the guy?
Maybe they just
destroyed a bar.
Maybe they just hadn't got to it yet.
Reporting live in San Francisco, Jana Katsuyama, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
So there you go. A feral homeless person destroys the inside of a restaurant and bar.
And on opening day in San Francisco, that shopkeeper took a fastball right to the head. All right, Randy, do we have time to check in on Sacramento?
We do.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
Sacramento, salon. Someone stole hair extensions. Let's go. Fox 40.
Now, the owner tells me this is the 7th time that their business has been broken into since they first opened the doors roughly 18 years ago. Now,
it's like every other year.
Now, this incident is expected to set them back roughly $10,000. But the total damage from all of these instances has now reached a whopping $200,000.
They shot my glass, they kicked it open, and then they just walk in calmly. They weren't really running.
Salon Bravissimo co-owner Michael Wu believes the thieves were in search of expensive hair extensions.
What?
Who robbed this guy? A bunch of drag queens?
Believes the thieves were in search of expensive hair extensions, which are in high demand on the black market.
I don't know
Who is buying black market hair extensions?
I have no idea.
Can you also get a black market perm or a black market weave?
Maybe.
I don't know what to do.
His wife and co-owner, Joy Ho, says they've had to move closer to work to best respond to these break-ins.
Oh, my. No nice life in the suburbs for you. You got to live right next to your shop.
With a Louisville Slugger under your bed.
They are not the first time doing this type of job.
They say they've dealt with this so many times, law enforcement now knows them on a first-name basis.
Well, it also could have something to do with the name.
You're saying they don't want to identify her by the last name?
No, I think that's why they remember it.
But despite law enforcement's best efforts to find the thieves, it's difficult when the suspects conceal their face with a mask.
Oh, they're Ferrer fans.
Oh, yeah. You know, that used to be illegal until they mandated that all of us wear it.
And wear gloves.
If they're going to come and plan this, usually they would just come as a regular client status and walk around and scope out the area.
They add that dealing with insurance claims is frustrating.
You don't say.
If you file a claim, you will be dropped.
They almost treat the victims as if, we're the criminals. I just was switched over to a new company because the last company already kicked me out because of one too many claims.
And with these new...
What's he supposed to do? What's the point of insurance if you can't use it?
He's between a rock and a hard place.
There you go. They're stealing hair extensions in Sacramento.
Poor couple. Put all your time, your effort, your blood, your sweat, your tears into your small business, and now these hoes don't have any hair extensions.
That's the name of the family.